Fly. My name is Dan. Thank you so much for coming along to the March Modern Work Pulse. Thanks everyone for joining us. I'm the Training and Adoption Practice Manager for IComm and across the wider Cloud Collective. And as you would probably know, that we do this every month, and we've got some really cool special guests with us this month. So let's really quickly go through the agenda. So today, I'm going to talk about time management and technology. So time management is something that everyone talks about all the time. We're always talking about how we can get more of our time back and take control of it. And we've got all of this wonderful technology at our disposal. So how can we use that to get the best of our time? George is going to take us through the feature roundup and the what's new. So we'll talk about recent updates, ironically, including Teams Premium and a new webinar experience. We'll talk about what's coming soon. We can now move the webinar experience from coming soon to recent updates. And then we have Erin Penny from Fed Uni and Sam from IComm to talk about Viva Engage and how Fed Uni have rolled out Viva Engage and how IComm helped out and how amazing that's been in a very short time that that's been live. And then, as per usual, we'll go through some question time at the very end. So we've got a good fun one for you. As I said at the beginning, just a bit of a sort of an introduction to those who might be new to this. We run the Modern Work Pulse every second Tuesday of every month. So it's all about all things modern workplace. This spawned originally from a Teams feature update where we would give our customers and a wider audience a sort of roundup on what's new, what's coming soon in Microsoft Teams. And as everything in the modern workplace has evolved, we've had to evolve our offering as well. And that includes now we talk about all things Microsoft and 365 in the modern workplace. We've got the news and the roadmap updates every month. We've got tips, tricks, ideas, which is what I'll be talking about today. Access to the experts, special guests. We've got customers telling stories. We've got experts from Microsoft that join us every now and then. And all here to talk about what's important from the end user point of view. And the most important part here, which I really like spruiking, is that there's no sales and there's no jargon. This is all about end user functionality and what's going to mean more for the people using the technology. Because we do have special guests every month, if you do want to come and tell a story or you want to participate, reach out to your IComm account manager or reach out to me directly. We'd love to have you come and have a chat and tell us what you've been up to. And we do have a giveaway today. I've got a fancy pants Poli Sync 20 personal speakerphone to give away. So for everyone that's joined us today, you've got to actually join, not just register. So for the 38 people that have joined us, you now have the chance to win a Poli Sync 20, which is really cool. So every month we'll try and give away something cool, fun, and a bit techie. Are there any questions to begin with, or should we just kick straight into it? How are we all feeling? We're all good. Any questions? Any questions? No, the silence is golden. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to talk about tech and time management. Like I said, this is time management's been a hot topic for a really long time and only becomes more and more of a topic through hybrid work and through these new ways of working that we're all going through. And I guess everyone struggles with time management at some point. It's a common problem that we all share. Firstly, I want to just give a couple of home truths, right? So we're always looking for new ways to multitask and buy more time back in our day. But the reality is there's only so many things that you can do at one time. Unfortunately, multitasking just doesn't work, right? As much as we all think that we're good at multitasking, we're not. Multitasking is a bit of a fallacy in the sense that you can handle multiple tasks at the same time, but you're not handling them the most efficiently that you could, and it is breaking up your focus. The age-old saying, like, so much to do, so little time, right? We can't buy more time. We know that, but what we can do is make the most of the time that we do have and make the best of the tools that we have available to bring that together and hopefully give us a bit more of a balance in our day by using some really simple strategies and some of the tools that we already have. So a couple of home truths there. Unfortunately, there's no silver bullet to this, right? There's no one size fits all. There's no really easy switch. Sorry about that. like I said, everybody struggles with time management at some time. We all go through this. Better time management is all about change. It's all about changing your habits and about changing the way you work and the way you manage your day. So this does take time and effort. Getting it right takes time, takes effort, and takes trying again and trying again. But really importantly, and I'm going to talk about this a few times, it's a team sport. This is all about everybody working together and coming together to help each other and themselves out to get the most out of their day. Great time management is really hard. I know that's a pessimistic way to kick this off, but it's truthful. It's really hard. And hybrid working only makes that harder. So I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years, me being me and, the way I think and being a change manager and a trainer and, a people manager, trying to get the best out of everybody and trying to get the best out of myself. So I've thought quite a lot and run a few different presentations to different groups around time management. What I do is come up with a really short list of tips. I'm not here to lecture people for hours on end. This is all about short, sharp, little changes. So I wanted to start off by going through a couple of the really basic tips that I can give everybody. Now, I'm sure some of these you're already implementing and you're rolling your eyes going, oh my God, Dan, really? I know, but there's some people that wouldn't necessarily think about it this way. So these are really cool, sort of really high level. So firstly, it's really important to keep a to-do list. I always tell everyone to keep a to-do list, whether that's using an app like Microsoft To Do or any sort of timekeeping app like that. I use a boring old, notepad and pen, and I tick them off. It gives me a sense of satisfaction when I cross them off, but it also makes it really obvious in front of me what's going on for my day. You can use an online calendar. You can even use sticky notes all over your wall, right? Writing down the tasks you need to complete is really important. One, so you don't forget them. Two, so that you can remember in order. You can sort of prioritize with highlighters. And it's also really important to help you find ways to categorize them when they're written down. You can shuffle them around and, work out that sort of priority. Has anyone here heard of that theory of eat a frog for breakfast? While I'm talking about prioritizing tasks, has anyone heard eat a frog for breakfast? Georgia? Yeah, you're the only one that's heard this really weird analogy. Okay, so what happens when you create this to-do list? Don't ask a Frenchman that. Yeah, well, and other parts of Europe, I haven't tried it. But what happens when people create these to-do lists and these task lists is that they're compelled to complete them in the order that they've written them down. Usually it's more effective to start with the hardest tasks at the beginning. So I do things daily. I run my to-do list daily. And what I try and do is the hardest task at the beginning of the day. That's eating a frog for breakfast, right? Eating a frog is really daunting to me. I think it's gross and I think it's weird. So that's the hardest task that I can do. So I do that at the start of the day. For example, I might have to write a blog today or a quote. I've got a really big tender to respond to. So I'll write that before I get into any of my sort of day-to-day answering emails, making quick phone calls, because that's the most pressing and it's going to require the best of my focus. So yeah, really simple, creating that list and prioritizing it can help a lot. The other thing that I like doing and I encourage everyone to do is create a daily schedule. So create that plan it out by the hour, plan it out by 2 hours, whatever works for you in your role, but really important, stick to it. This is a really important time management strategy, and it really can serve as a really tangible reminder of how limited your time is, and it can help you from dragging tasks out for too long. So a really effective way to plan your day can be to do really simple things like add 5 or 10 minutes to each time block. I call it trash time. So you might be writing that proposal, and I've got that in my planner from 8:30 till 10:30. I'll add a 10-minute buffer on that so that I give myself that overrun in case I overestimate what that's going to take. Best case scenario, I buy myself 10 minutes to sort of recharge myself and get into the next task, right? So really simple daily schedule, add in the trash time, even if it is 5 minutes before and after. This is really, really, really important when we talk about meetings and back-to-back meetings. I've said this countless times over the last couple of years. Shave your meeting back 5 or 10 minutes. Give everyone 10 minutes of their day back. You don't necessarily have to schedule it for less than for that lower period. You can still have it for an hour block, but trying to wrap up at 10 to the hour, giving everybody that extra 10 minutes to sort of recharge, go and get a drink of water, have something really quick to eat, whatever it might be, can be really important. The next one is balancing and eliminating distractions. Now we're all up and down with this. Some people are really good at balancing and eliminating distractions. I'm not great at it some days. Distractions are really largely inevitable, especially today when we're working from home a lot. And complicating it is this sort of growing relationship and attachment to technology, whether it's your computer from doing work, or whether it's Netflix in the background, or my really bad habit of just sitting there scrolling Instagram reels for hours on end and listening to the same bad jokes told by the same influencer again and again. These things can take up a lot of your time, and a lot more than you think, and it really disrupts your time management strategies and any of this sort of planning that we're trying to do. I'm not saying to forget about the load of washing that has just finished and needs to be put in the dryer. I'm not saying that, and the floors still need to be vacuumed. All of that stuff needs to be done when you're at home, but work out how you can balance that, how you can stay in control of it. This ties directly into that previous point of that buffer time, right? That 10-minute trash time in between tasks can be the absolute perfect opportunity to go and put another load of washing on, or really quickly vacuum the bedroom, or use it as 10 minutes to just sit there, but make sure that you're controlling these distractions. I actually heard a really interesting tip about managing distractions on your mobile phone while you're working the other day. And it was, this guy was talking about switching his iPhone onto black and white mode, in grayscale mode, while he was at work. And the concept being really psychological around the bright colors and the flashing lights, right? Think pokies, think video games, all of that sort of stuff. It's the bright lights that attract a human's brain. So switching it onto grayscale mode while he's at work he finds that's really helpful to see these notifications popping up on his phone in a different way, and he unlocks it and it's just black and white text. So I thought that was a really interesting concept that might be really attractive to some people. For iPhone users, I really, really encourage you to play with focus time on your phone. Setting up your focus modes on your iPhones is really handy, because you don't have to do anything. It does that automatically for you. I've got mine linked to my Exchange account. So for example, when I'm in a presentation like this, my phone automatically goes into a do not disturb mode. So they're the sort of distractions that you can eliminate using technology. Another one that I'm really big on is saying no if you have to. Some of the busiest people find themselves signing up for heaps of different tasks, different projects. I do it all the time. You'd think that it would be the opposite, right? Really important people don't sign up for more things, but that's not the case. It's actually a pretty negative trait to continuously sign up for more, or keep saying yes and keep taking on more on your plate. It's just, it adds to distraction. It adds to the time in your day. This is where we talk about it being a team sport. Sometimes you have to say no. It's important to make sure that you're not biting off more than you can chew in your day, in your week, and in your brain. When you're thinking about time management, remember to always think about the ability to say no. You do have the ability to say no. Obviously, customer work for some of us isn't necessarily avoidable. It might not be as flexible as we'd like, but lots of internal meetings, 4 meetings backing onto each other in a day, something that you don't necessarily have to be involved in, but you like to be involved in. If it's clouding your day today, just say no, I'll catch up with you later on about it, and move on from that. It can leave you with a significant amount of time in your day. So I encourage you to, have a think about saying no politely. Please make sure you do it politely. And remember to take a break. This is really key, and I think most of us forget to do this. Just take a breath. Go and stand outside in the sun for 5 minutes. Take the dog for a walk. Make yourself a cup of coffee. Whatever it is that's going to give you a 5-minute sort of deep breath and a reset, you've got to remember to do that. You just have to. This is the beauty of flexible working. We have the ability to just go outside or just sit in the lounge room for 5 minutes. If that means you have to start work half an hour earlier or work a bit at night time where it's more suitable to get different sorts of work done, that's fine. Discuss that with your teams and with your management groups, but take that time out for yourself. You'll feel a lot better for it in the end. Does anyone have any questions around those sort of 5 tips? I'll be putting this in a blog and sending everyone the link online so that you can have a read through the details. But does anyone have any questions around that? I've seen that we've got some really cool comments in there. Thank you for those who have linked to Eat a Frog. Oh, Stephen, thanks for that link. How to set up focus modes. Oh, there you go. So you've got it on Android and iOS as well. There you go. Cool. Awesome. All right. So you've rambled about the soft skills, Dan. I know. What about the tech? There's plenty of tools and technology that can help us with this. We could be here all day, all week, talking about all of the different options that are available to us. The hard part of this is finding the tools that work for you. I'm going to focus on 3 tools that I have complete access to and that we all should have access to. And I find these 3 the most helpful from a tech point of view in time management. So firstly, Outlook, to help with managing calendar and help with managing email distractions. Secondly, I want to talk about Teams to control quiet times and the ability for people to get in touch with me through do not disturb modes and things like that. And really importantly, Viva Insights. I've found Viva Insights to be one of the most helpful tools that I've come across in recent times for time management. So I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm actually going to go into real world. So we'll start off with Outlook, okay? Now, I'm picking a random empty week in my calendar to give an example of what I'm going to talk you through, okay? So we've just got a plain old empty week. Now, for what it's worth, I'm using a Mac. Sorry for those that are, PC master race, I get that. The look and the feel might be a little bit different depending on what version of Outlook you're running, but the functionality should be the same. And again, the look and feel should be pretty similar, right? So you should be able to follow along pretty easily. One of the most important things I do in my calendar is color coding. I color code all of my meetings. Can everyone see that? Adrian's just pointed out that he can't see the screen. Can't see my calendar.
I can see it.
Oh, I can see it.
Some can, some can't. How good's this? This
We
is
had
learning
some
on the
people
fly.
in our meeting the other week who also couldn't see the screen. Some had to leave and come back. Others needed to, if you click on Dan's picture and then try and click on the screen again, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I can't control any switching there. Sorry, guys. For those that can't see, just pretend. Just visualize it, okay? Just descriptive captions or something like that. So plain old calendar, color coding, really important. I find it really handy because then I get a really high level visual of what my day looks like. Color coding an event is really as simple as clicking on what that event is, right click, and then towards the bottom, you should have categorize, and you've got all of the options that you create. So you can go manage categories, and then you can create and tag a color and then give it a name, right? So it's as simple as clicking on the add. You've got all of these colors here, and then just give it a name. It really, for me, I find this a really simple and effective tool to give me a high level overview of what's going on in my day. So if you start looking at busier weeks, you can see if I go back, I've got different colors, and that gives me a really cool high level, like I said, that even better automatically translates into Teams. So if you're one of those people that has started using Teams to control their calendar, all of your color coding and naming conventions do come across through to your Teams calendar automatically. You don't have to do anything about that. The other thing that I do in Outlook, or that you can do in Outlook, is in your preferences and your settings. Now, this will be different, Mac versus PC, but the functionality is the same. If you go under your calendar preferences, you can set your work schedule, so your time and your work week. You can change things like your default reminder in your calendar. The default reminder, I think, is set at 15 minutes. I like that. That gives me sort of enough heads up to finish what I'm doing and get ready. But you can shift that around depending on what your day looks like and how you work. And time zones. Time zones are a great tool that actually one of our trainers, Dale, showed us a while ago in an Outlook tips and tricks thing. Your ability to add a secondary calendar that lists, you can see now on the left-hand side of my calendar there, I've added GMT +1. So I can see different time zones directly in alignment. So, you know, I could pick, I don't know, I could choose an American time zone, and there you go. I can see how that switches out. So it gives you that really instant visual. So if you're scheduling meetings and you need to make that time balance from yourself and whoever else that might be in a different market or a different country, that's a really handy way of doing that. Cool. Any questions around using Outlook? They're the two sort of key things that I use in Outlook that I find really helpful. What I want to do now is really quickly talk in Teams. Under your Teams settings, the one that I usually go through, so, you know, we're all used to our different options here. I go straight to privacy. And do not disturb is probably your best friend in Teams. So when you're in do not disturb mode, we all know that people won't be able to contact you when you get the pop-up, right? That won't automatically be jumping up. But sometimes it's really important that you need certain people to be able to contact you. That's where manage priority access comes in handy. So I can put in who can contact me and get that pop-up and get that notification through to get my attention. This is really handy, right? So set yourself in do not disturb, or your focus time or your presentation, whatever that do not disturb mode might be. And these people that you add in priority access can carve through that. I really encourage people as well to use their presence the right way for time management. Don't be scared of sitting in busy for an hour or do not disturb for an hour to get something done and focus. Be right back and appear away, I think, are like the forgotten cousins of presence in Teams. Don't forget that they exist. Appear away if you've gone to have lunch, because otherwise what happens is that other people spend time trying to contact you, so on and so forth. Or you do the same for other people, right? So using your presence the right way can actually be really important. And appear offline. If you're not online, appear offline so that people can see that you're not online. You can use duration. There is the option to set your duration. So I can say, set myself as busy for the next 30 minutes. So you've got the option for the time, for the whole week, customize it. And I've clicked on two things at once. There you go. So you've got your different statuses that you can choose from and the time from there. The other important one here on your drop-down menu for Teams is set status message. This is really important to just give people a bit of an understanding of what you're doing right now. It might be that you're in focus mode and you're putting in there studying for exams, whatever that might be. Help people understand where you're at, and that will help you a lot with you managing your time. And then conversely, other people managing their time and you trying to communicate with them. You can set that to show when people message you. You can set a timer. And from here, you can also set this as an out of office, as a scheduled out of office. So you don't need to schedule your out of office from Outlook anymore. It can be done directly from Teams. Any questions around that one? All right, last but not least, Viva Insights. Some of you may have played with Viva Insights, some may not have seen it yet. If you haven't seen it, go and play with it. Give us a call and we can step you through it. Viva Insights is really handy for a lot of things. I want to focus on the option up the top here, Protect Time. When I click on Protect Time, I'm presented with three key pieces of information: booking focus time, protecting my time and my quiet time, and then building a focus plan. What I want to do is first expand on focus time. Focus time is really important. I could talk for hours about how important focus time is, but remember to set the boundaries, make it reasonable. You don't want to sit in focus time for 3 hours every day. Booking it for an hour here and there throughout the week can be really powerful, and teams can automate that through Viva Insights here. So you can set those times for today and tomorrow, and this will automatically switch me into a do not disturb focusing time to let everybody else know that I'm focusing. You can go forward more days. You can keep booking out for this week and next week. Protect your time under quiet time is one that I'm a really big fan of, right? So we just go straight to quiet time settings. This just takes us to a different screen in Viva Insights. This is really important. So configure your downtimes, right? So mobile notification, this is really important because this will automatically fly over to your mobile settings, okay? So does anyone here have that fear that I'm always on and always available even after hours because I've got Teams on my mobile and on my iPad? Anyone feel that? No, just me? Okay. Well, I can save this. I can solve this one for you. By configuring your quiet times, so your mobile notifications will automatically be muted during quiet times. For me, I've got my downtime set from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. each night of the week. So overnight, right? Really, really, really handy to be able to shut off because I'm not getting notifications, and then mute mobile notifications all day on Saturday, Sunday. Georgia, you can also book focus time from Viva Insights email that replaced my analytics. Yes, exactly right. So the email that comes through to you, most users will see that email has stopped temporarily. There's a few updates going on with Viva Insights, and that email should resume in the next couple of weeks. So do go in here. If you've got Viva Insights set up, go and protect your time, build in your quiet times and your days. Productivity inline suggestions can be really handy with time management. What this does is when you're looking through Outlook, it can bring up inline, Sam, no need to configure Teams mobile Outlook. No, Sam, you don't need to configure anything because it will follow what's put into these settings here. Just be aware that if you open Teams on your mobile, you'll get notifications then. When you close it, it goes back to quiet time. But obviously, if you open these apps, then it's going to tell you what's going on. Productivity inline suggestions can be really handy for starting to use that AI in the background to pull recommendations for a meeting that's coming up that, here's a document that you worked on last month in this meeting, or here's your notes. So this can help sort of streamline your prep for that next meeting. And the big one, I said before, take a break. Lunch hours. Set your lunch hours as much as possible. So you pick the time of day that works for you for lunch. You can set that every day. You hit save changes. So I can just go here and say that I want my lunchtime to be from midday to 12:30. And I go and save changes. That's gone and updated that for me. And if I go back to my calendar, I can see now that it's automatically planted lunch in at that time for me every day. I can go and change that at any time. I can remove it. So whatever the days might be that I've got something overlapping, so I can just go here and delete that occurrence. So it doesn't live there. It doesn't force anything, but it does force you to start thinking about actively taking that time out of your day. So there's my sort of 3 key pieces of software that I use and I recommend other people use to help them with their time management. Again, I'm going to put this up in a written blog so that you can see those with some screen grabs. This recording will be available to everybody as well if you want to go back on it. But while we're loading up the presentation again and getting ready to hand over, does anyone have any questions around any of those tools or tips or ideas? Any questions, any comments? Harriet, the change I'm looking out for is the ability to add my working location. So Harriet, we're halfway there. The ability to add your working location for different days is really, really important. I can't wait for that. Yes, it's going to be really exciting. We're halfway there. In Outlook, if you're running a newer version of Outlook, you can right-click on an appointment and you can choose from available, busy, tentative, out of office, or there's a new one for working elsewhere. So we're halfway there. We're getting that, which is really cool. Ronald, the etiquette for making your calendar visible to people in your org. That's the $1 million question. That's going to be a very personal thing around how much information you want people to be able to see in your calendar. It's a tricky one. That's probably an internal conversation. I always tell people that there's no harm in sharing your calendar from a basic level where it simply shows busy and available. I think that that's a really good step. You don't have to show people the detail around around the appointments that you've got. And if there is something that you don't want people to see, you can always mark it as a private appointment. All good? All right, so after my 35-minute rambling, I'm going to hand over to Georgia. So Georgia's one of our training and adoption specialists. She's an absolute superstar. She's had a lot to do with the Fed Uni project that just rolled out as well. And Georgia has now had COVID 3 times. I think that's got to be a record breaker for IComm at the very least. I think it's amazing. I'm glad she's experiencing it, not me. I wish she wasn't, but I'm glad that I'm not the one experiencing it. But I'm going to hand straight over to Georgia. So give her a virtual round of applause, and she's going to take you through all of the feature updates.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Yeah, so still recovering from my latest bout of COVID, so I do apologize if I get a little bit breathless throughout my presentation. But today we're going to be running through a little bit of what's new in the world of Teams. So let's get started. Outlook, some cool new tricks for the old dog of Outlook. For anyone that is using Edge, and I'm sure there's a few of you, there's actually a lot of really cool functionality in there that I'm discovering as I've started using it, but you can now access your Outlook inbox right from the sidebar of the Edge window. So you can keep all of your emails at your fingertips. You can also see your calendar, your tasks by to-do, even your contacts right from the sidebar there. So lots of fun to be had in there. You'll also notice that you'll be able to react to emails. So if you're struggling to come up with a reply, really quickly just hit that little thumb, hit that little heart, and you've got your response. You don't have to think too hard about it. I think that's a really nice little addition in there. If you are using the newer version of Outlook or Outlook for the web, you'll notice that there's actually a filter button in your calendar now. So if you are really good at using categories and things like that, you can actually go ahead and you can filter your calendar, and you can only see, for example, certain categories, only meetings that you're the organizer of, and you can actually get that sort of clearer view. You can sort of hide all the other mess. I do a lot of placeholders and note keeping and things like that in my calendar, so it's nice to be able to actually filter it down and only see the things that are real meetings, not just note to self for later. Now, next up, we've got a little bit of news from the world of Viva. Viva Engage. So Yammer's making a new name for itself. After the initial change of the Teams app, which was called Communities, to Viva Engage, you might also start to notice that this change is branching out. So you'll soon see that the Yammer mobile app, if anyone's using that, will be renamed to Viva Engage. You'll notice that the Communities app in Outlook is also going to be rebranded. Both of those should be happening this month. And then the web experience is going to be becoming Viva Engage, and it's going to see some UX and UI enhancements around winter this year. And the reason I've used winter is because Microsoft were saying summer for the North American audience, so winter for us. Eventually, the website URL is going to change towards the end of the year, and everything is going to be Viva Engage from here on out. So that's quite exciting to see Yammer sort of getting the facelift. I think it's a really interesting program that a lot of people have forgotten about, unfortunately. I will be hearing a lot more about the wonders of Viva Engage later on. Now, let's have a little look at Microsoft Teams chat and collaboration. So first thing I wanted to talk about, and it does tie in nicely with what Dan was talking about, is you can now get little suggestions from Viva Insights popping up when you go to send a message. So if you've been really good at putting in all of the hours for your work hours and things like that, then it will pick up on that and suggest when people go to message you, at 8 p.m. on a Friday, that they can schedule send their message. So schedule sending a message is quite easy. You simply right click on the little paper airplane send icon. You'll get this lovely little box where you can choose exactly when your message is going to land. Just from experience, you'll also find people are going to be way more likely to reply to that message if it comes through while they're actually working, rather than if it's been sitting in that inbox sort of deliberately unread for a couple of days or something like that, it's going to be a little bit of resentment. You're going to be way more likely to get a response if you message someone while they're working. So use that schedule send. You'll get them while they're ready to go. Next up, you can now send a chat, or start a chat rather, with a distribution group. So for example, if I wanted to send one to distribution training, I could start to type that in. And once I click on the name of that, it'll add automatically all the members of that distribution group into the new chat box. I can then, remove certain people if they're no longer in that department, edit it, add a couple of people that might be missing. But it's a nice quick way to start up that chat. Some other new things, let's say someone external that you don't know who is trying to contact you, is trying to reach out, you might now see this little message that tells you that that message from an external person can be blocked. So you can choose to either accept or block it. This is to help, safety first, security, help prevent phishing attacks and things like that. So you can actually block that chat before you go and buy all those gift cards for them. The other good news is if you didn't hit block, if you hit accept by accident, you can also block external contacts now. So to do that, you just got to look for their little sort of initial smartie at the top of the screen, hover over it, you'll see a contact card, and living under that ellipses right there, you'll find the option to block an external contact. And it's external only, so you can't block anyone internal before you get too excited. Now, moving on from there, got some new stuff in meetings. The first one, and you might have seen this one already if you're already across the polls app, but I really like it, so I'm going to show it to you. Instant polls. So for anyone that is not familiar, you can find a little plus button at the top of a meeting where you have the permissions to do so, to add apps to your meeting. From there, you can choose polls, which is the new name for the Forms app, and you'll get this nifty little sidebar going on down here. And from here, I can launch a little instant poll like this one. So I can get you all to vote thumbs up or thumbs down for instant polls as it loads. If it loads, who knows? That one come through? Hey, there it goes. So maybe not quite as instant as I promised, but it's a really good way to get a really quick sort of like hands up, hands down kind of thing where it's all recorded, but not the names recorded. So you just have nice hard data for you. So that will look a little bit like that. There's a few different options. You've sort of got yes, no, heartbroken, unbroken. Oh, we got a no. Who's that? Anyway, now this one's for very particular people. It's an update to Teams for Apple CarPlay. So it's on the roadmap for those who spend that time on the road and are really keen for this one. They're actually going to add some functionality to that app. I did check it yesterday. It's not there yet, unfortunately, but soon you'll be able to see your calendar for your Teams meetings from Apple CarPlay, and you'll actually be able to join a meeting just by hitting that little call button there. So you'll be able to jump straight into meetings. Anyone that has tried to join one of those meetings from the car will know exactly what a headache that has been and why this is a really fun new feature. Also being able to see your calendar there. Now, we've also got some updates to webinars, including the new setup experience, which I thought was what was going to be the only thing we would see for webinars, but of course we're getting the whole shebang here. So I'll be talking about a few of the new features we're finding as though they are Teams Premium only. I don't think we have Teams Premium, so they're probably going to be GA for everyone. That's exciting. Sorry, I'm just checking the chat. Yeah, cool. Yeah, there's also lots of abilities to do lots of different polls, and it'll even suggest a few for you. So really handy little tool there. I quite like that one. So let's look at the new webinar setup experience. So in order to find this, you're going to need to set up a webinar the old-fashioned way. I was doing scheduled meetings that I would add registration requirements to. That hasn't changed to my knowledge, but you can jump on in, hit that little drop down at the top of your calendar and select a webinar from here. This will bring you to this new fandangled screen, which is a little bit more complex than I think we were used to with our old webinars. So from here, I can, of course, add the basic info, pop in a name, time, all the normal stuff. You can also select your co-organizers for your webinar right from there. So you'll be able to select those. Co-organizers is a new feature to allow people to access certain privileges and change the settings and things like that for your webinar. From here, you can also decide if your event will be for your organization only, so a nice internal meeting, or if you want it to be public, if you wanted to do something a little bit like this one right now. We've got updated presenter bios experience. So you can add in people's LinkedIn profiles, a nice little picture, get their personal website up on there and their job title. You can do all kinds of things there. Interestingly, it's not tied to their exchange, so it's not like pre-filling your job title, so you can embellish if you want to. I'll leave that up to you. You've also got some theming available to you. Now, you can add a logo, you can add a banner. The banner image is 920 by 230 pixels. What I would recommend, having designed a couple of those myself, is double those, and it will actually not look super pixelated. So highly recommend that, but that is the ratio, 920 by 230. The theme colors are quite limited, unfortunately. We can't quite get IComm yellow yet, but maybe one day. You've got a variety of purples and greens and some pinks, I think. But you can now add a little bit more flair to those webinars. Finally, you've got some new configuration options as well. So if you wanted to set an upper limit on your capacity for your webinars, if you wanted to say, change that to 750, change it to 75, change it to 8, however many people you want to allow into your webinar, you can actually come in here and change that. Where we used to change our form by editing the little registration site, you can now add fields from here. So if you want to add a customized question, you can get text input, choices, checkbox, or you can go for any of the standardized ones right here. Those forms can be a really great way to get a little bit more data on who's coming along to your webinars. Maybe how did you find out about this webinar if it's a public one, things like that. Now that it's all configured, I've put all my details in, I've themed it, it's looking great. I can hit publish site up the top. Now I can view a draft in the meantime if I'm not quite sure. Either way, you can still come back and edit it. So I don't see like why you wouldn't just hit publish, but it's up to you. If you need that little safety net, go for it. Your published site is going to look a little bit like this, hopefully a little bit prettier, but you'll probably have gotten a little more creative with your cover photo there, but it's different to what we used to have. You've got this nice big banner. You can see all of your details. Your speakers will have all their bios down there with a big register button right there. So that is a little overview of what's new for the webinar experience. However, as we've discovered, as I move on to this Teams Premium section, where I was going to talk about what Teams Premium gets for webinars, we've actually got some new capability here. So Teams Premium was meant to be the only one getting some of this capability. However, not entirely sure what's what now, so we'll see. But Teams Premium will have the ability to look at the registration waitlist and add manual approval. So if you want to manually approve everyone that's allowed in, you can go through, you can see what they answered on their form, oh, you're an engineer, and you don't need assistant, yep, you're in, whatever. Make all those choices based on what they've answered, and you can approve or reject them. You can also have that waitlist capability. You'll also have the ability to have automated email reminders. So a lot of people do forget about webinars, I find. It's very easy to sign up for them and never add them to your calendar because it's that extra little step that you have to take. So this email reminder will help get those numbers up. If you have 80 people signing up, then you might actually have 80 people coming, which would be fantastic. You'll also get this virtual green room, which I believe we saw today, where you have this big ominous looking yellow button that says start meeting. So this is hopefully relatively familiar to anyone that's ever had anything to do with live events on Teams. It's quite a similar experience from what I can tell, having not experienced it, but it'll allow you to have that little pre-meeting time and hit that big yellow button to actually start the meeting and allow people in when you're ready. So you can have that green room time, talk about your run through, all that kind of stuff, go, oh, what's this brand new experience that we've never seen before? Next up is, of course, the ability to manage what attendees see. So this is what we've been battling with today for a brand new experience. So instead of seeing everyone's lovely faces, which I'm sure you're all smiling at me right now because I'm very charming, just kidding, you'll actually be able to decide who is on and off screen and things like that. So if I wanted to say, and Sam, I'm just going to pick on you for a sec, if I wanted to drag Sam onto the screen, I can actually find her little thumbnail over on this side and click show on screen. If I want to put Sam away again, I can do that. Thank you very much. I'm going to take off screen and she'll pop back off. And you can do that, have that extra level of control. So once again, kind of similar to the live event experience if you're used to that. So these are things that we thought were entirely for Teams Premium, at least based on all the research I could do. So I'll do a little bit more exploring and maybe give you some updates for next month. Now, there's a few more things for Teams Premium only, to the best of my knowledge, including AI-generated chapters for your meeting recordings. So this is a really cool feature using all the power of AI, picking up on different slides in your slide decks and naming chapters based on the titles of those slides. So if you've got a nice lengthy presentation, you've recorded it and you're only interested in one section, you can go in and have a little look through each chapter. And I'm only interested in global market trends, so I can click on that and go straight there. Very handy. A little security feature that I thought was very clever that Teams Premium is bringing in is this watermarking. So it's for sensitive content. If you've marked your meeting as highly confidential, for example, you can have the option to pop that watermark on all of the slides and even people's camera footage here. Now that watermark will be unique to each user. So if I'm in this situation, if I'm Adi Kapoor, it would show my email across all of the contents. So if I was to go and link that, it'd be pretty easy to figure out exactly where it was leaked from. So that's watermarking for sensitive content in meetings. Thought it was pretty cool. And that is a little wrap up of what's going on in Teams. Now, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to throw them at me. That's also a clickable link. If you want to click that, you can send me a Teams message and reach out. I'll promise not to block your messages unless you start sending me some suspicious links. And yeah, next up we've got Sam and Erin to talk about the success of Viva Engage over at Fed Uni, which was a project I had a privilege to be a part of, so get excited. And I'm also available if you need help for questions. Did anyone have any questions to throw my way before I jump off? Looking good. Excellent. Well, I'll leave it to you. Take it away.
You've got one question, Georgia. So does Teams Standard allow webinars?
Yes, Teams Standard does allow webinars. It has for a while. We're using Teams Standard to run a webinar right now. So if you go to your calendar, and I can flick on back to this here slide. No, go all the way back, please. Too many transitions for my own good. If you go to the top corner of your calendar, right there, you'll see a new meeting button. Click that little drop down. You should find webinar right there. But if you do need any help with it, feel free to send me that Teams message and I'll help you out. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Georgia. Hi, I don't think many of you will have seen me presenting at one of these before. I've only ever done it once before, but my name is Samantha Paul. I am an account manager here at IComm. Erin, who is with me today, is from Federation University. I'm going to get her to talk about her role at Federation University in a second. There isn't any slides after this, is there? Because I didn't present any. I didn't make any slides. Erin and I are just going to have a casual chat amongst friends, and you guys can all just listen in. So if you want to get rid of that slide, people don't need to stare at Erin and I. They can just watch us talking. All right. So for those that don't know, and most of you probably already are familiar with Yammer, but Georgia touched on it before, but I'll just quickly give an update as to what Viva Engage actually is. So it's ultimately a Microsoft platform, obviously, and it provides tools for organizations to be able to improve employee engagement and communication, things like that. So it can be used for things like community building, leadership engagement, knowledge sharing, and Viva Engage now integrates into Microsoft Teams, and in doing so, it introduces new features such as storylines and stories, you know, a la Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing. So here with me, I've obviously got Erin. Erin's from Federation University, and Federation University came to IComm late last year, and I'll get Erin to talk through what the catalyst was for that engagement. But we ultimately worked with Federation University to implement Viva Engage. So Erin, maybe you can first off maybe talk us through who Federation are, where you're located, how widespread you are, and your role at Fed.
Sure. So I'm the team leader for ITS training and development at Fed.
We're a little team. We've got 3 people. We have campuses. Our main campus is in Mount Helen in Ballarat, but we've also got, I think at the end of the day, there's about 13 sites, but it goes sort of right across to Horsham, Berwick, Gippsland, Churchill. We've also got a couple of sort of satellite sites in Morwell, and we've got a campus in Brisbane. So it's a regional university that isn't so regional anymore, and there's about 2,500 staff plus associates.
Yep, cool. And so Federation Uni actually had Yammer before. So what was the catalyst and the conversations happening that, drove that Viva Engage piece?
Yeah,
that
sure.
requirement?
So Yammer, as you would all know, has been around for a really long time, but I think it was kind of just there. There wasn't any real engagement. There was no training. There was no communications around it. People found it and used it a little bit, but it wasn't necessarily something that really had a high take up with staff. And probably might have been early last year, there was a staff survey at Fed, and one of the big things that came out of it was that staff wanted better communication and engagement from leadership and a better way to have two-way communication and collaboration with them. So it was really something that we wanted to have a look at, was to try and enable that, but also we needed to keep it fairly tight. There needed to be some moderation, there needed to be some rules, and there needed to be a little bit of guidance around how people could use a platform.
And I'm assuming that's just to keep it like a tight-knit community, that it doesn't, so it's not overwhelming for everyone, because if it's overwhelming, then
Exactly.
people just don't use it. It's too much.
Yeah, so there was some really good guidance from our corporate comms team around what we would be using it for. And, it's not super, it doesn't have to be super business focused. There's quite a few things on there that, the TAFE bakery sales and things that sort of hadn't been advertised before, and things like that are great. And around work, but not necessarily all business all the time, but things that people could get involved in that they may not have known were available previously.
I'm going to touch on the bakery a bit later. Erin showed me that one the other day. I'm like, that's cool. Okay, and so we obviously started helping you with our partner Antares. And for those people that don't know who Antares are, IComm are part of a cloud collective. There's ourselves, Antares, Quorum, and Walker Scott. Collectively across the cloud collective, we look after the entire Microsoft stack. So Antares really deal in that Power BI, Yammer, Viva, all that sort of stuff. So Antares did the technical piece for Federation University. I can't get that word out. And IComm obviously did the change management training and adoption piece, and that was run by Georgia. So how does Federation University and the players that were involved from your end feel that the engagement went, and what do you think went well, both from your end and from our end?
Yeah, it was exceptional. So it was kind of it was a really good team effort, including IComm, but also within the different teams that were included at Fed Uni. So we had a whole bunch of technical stuff sort of put together before we launched. We knew that we wanted to go around early March, but there were some certain restrictions that we wanted that weren't kind of readily available. So the technical team needed to be involved in putting that together. But the communications came out from the VC to our Vice Chancellor to make sure that everybody was across what was happening, what to expect, and basically that they were going to training. And then people were sent direct invites. So the entire staff list was sent direct invites to a training session. If they couldn't make it to that one, then they were encouraged to register for another one. And really it was amazing. A huge effort by Georgia and Brooke, who's in my team. I think they sat through 13 training sessions. There were 860 attendees, which is, at the time of year, we hadn't started the semester yet. Not everyone was back from leave. It's basically an unheard of level of engagement for us. And the other thing that really helped was that we only have the one community. We weren't
allowing people to sort of branch off and make their own communities. This was a staff platform. We wanted a one-in-all-in sort of situation. And the other thing is that it's available through Teams. And because Teams is our telephony platform, people kind of live and breathe it anyway. Adding another app to that wasn't, a huge, big change for them.
Yeah. It's just there. It's obviously on the sidebar. They know where to click it. It's not something else that they need to remember to go to. It's just in their face. And I know the Vice Chancellor had, obviously like a lot of people used to send out emails. Problem with that is you send out an email, 2,500 people might be reading it, but no one responds. Who's going to respond to a Vice Chancellor or a Managing Director? No, scary. So there's no two-way communication. Obviously with Yammer, you've got that two-way communication. And obviously you had the survey last year where people were crying out for that two-way engagement. So what has the feedback been from the Federation University staff and management? I will get university out in one go by the end of this thing.
It's really been something that we almost didn't expect it, because and Georgia and Dan will probably get this with training in particular, getting people to come. You kind of get the same people who are happy to come all of the time, and I thought maybe it was going to be the same situation with Yammer. We were going to have the same people who maybe came to our training or engaged with our stuff previously, or but the engagement's been off the charts for us. So there's about 2,200 staff in the community, and of that 2,200, 1,400 are active. So we've had that. It's huge, and it's not something that we were expecting or something that we were anticipating. So they might just be scrolling and not liking anything, but at least they're seeing it and they're there.
Yeah. And so you've obviously got the analytics that are within Yammer now. Have you guys? So, yep. Did I say Yammer? Oh my goodness, I said Yammer. Viva Engage. So Viva Engage, sorry, I didn't mention this, but Viva Engage has only been active in Fed Uni for 2 weeks. Yeah, this is exactly 2 weeks. So you've obviously got the analytics. Have you been able to go in there and have a look at what, how many posts are being made and what the read rate is, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we've had 185 posts by 89 users. So that includes resource accounts, our VC comms and our corporate comms, and also the IT training and development. We're taking full advantage. But the biggest thing, which I think I mentioned to you, Sam, and I know that has kind of come up a couple of times while I've been talking to IComm over the last few weeks, is that there's nearly 35,000 read messages. So basically, nobody else can see it, but George's face just dropped. So
I saw it on Friday.
Yeah.
Disclaimer here. She showed me. I could see her screen, and I nearly fell off my chair.
So basically, those active members, that 1,400 or so active members, are engaging with everything.
Yeah, every comment, every post. It's amazing. Yep. I had a quick look through the Federation Uni and Viva Engage, and I think it was maybe day 3, maybe day 4, and it honestly looked like there was 4 months worth of posts. It was phenomenal. Like I think it's far exceeded anybody's expectations. I just thought maybe it would be a slow, slow burn and then maybe ramp up, but no, you guys have just dove headfirst into this thing, and it's amazing.
Which, I mean, I guess it shows the need for it. People wanted it, so it's at least it's a response to what was actually asked for.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the comment is on employee engagement in this year's survey. That would be good to know. In terms of the bakery, and you mentioned this before, when Erin and I were talking the other day, she kind of mentioned that there is, there used to be a distribution list, and everyone's got this, these distribution lists that have been in the business for years and years and years and years. And if you've been with the company years and years and years, you may know of the distribution list. So can you just explain what the whole thing was with the bakery?
Yeah, sure. So Brooke in my team gets the emails to say, a bakery's having a sale. So basically, you know, our TAFE students make a whole heap of stuff, and what's the best way to get rid of it without wasting it is to sell it. And they would advertise these quarterly sales or something like that via a distribution group. I've worked here
If you were lucky to be
years.
on it.
If you were lucky, yeah. And I've worked here for a little while, but Brooke's been here sort of 8 years, so she landed on the distribution list. That's the only way I knew about it. But there were a bunch of people missing out on that very valuable information.
And now they can get it.
Yes. Yeah.
It'd be good to know if the bakery sales go up because of
Yeah,
Viva
we'll have to
Engage.
find out.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to know. Maybe they can't keep up with demand now. We could be in trouble.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking when I saw Federation, and I will wrap it up because I'm sure you're all sick of us talking, but we quickly were going through the Federation University Viva Engage feed the other day, and it was just nice to see, you know, those pockets of the business. You know, you've got the hairdressers and you might have the bakery people and those pockets of the business that may only ever interact with themselves or their own campuses, posting things and showing what they're doing for the day, and people on, you know, the opposite side of the state getting to know what they're doing and, you know.
Yeah, and in real time, I think, because we have, you know, we have VC updates and things like that where we talk about these things that have been going on at different campuses. But for example, International Women's Day last week, there were events across all of the campuses, but we never know what's happening in Brisbane. So it was really good to have, you know, some real-time pictures of what their event looked like and what they were up to, and the sorts of things that were happening across just, you know, 8 or 10 different locations.
That's amazing. I'm excited for you guys.
It's really good.
All right. I'm going to hand it back to Dan. Thank you so much, Erin.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. No worries. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Sam, and thanks, Erin, for joining us. Really appreciate that, and I'm glad that that's